Hello, fellow lightworkers and spiritual warriors. Welcome to the March 2023 edition of 5D Messages from Mount Shasta. I am Dr. Christina Samycia, spiritual psychologist, intuitive guide, and author. If you are listening to this podcast, it is highly likely that you are a lightworker, someone who is here to shift into a higher state of consciousness and help the collective with this ascension process. I will be posting podcasts of channeled messages from Mount Shasta, root chakra of the planet, to provide guidance and inspiration during this challenging yet amazing time. Please sign up on my YouTube channel to receive my latest podcasts. You can also visit my website, Christina Samycia, that's Christina with a CH, PSYD.com, for more information regarding this collective evolution we are experiencing, as well as information regarding my book, The Journey of Discovering Inner Peace, which has many valuable tools that can be helpful in navigating this time. March is the month we have been anticipating for quite a while. I personally felt a powerful shift in energy on the 1st. March has the potential to not only be the highlight of the year, but possibly the century. This month can be quite magical. We have two huge planetary alignments, Saturn entering Pisces on March 7th, and Pluto entering Aquarius on the 23rd, which I believe will be pivotal in the shift of consciousness. The energy of these alignments will set in motion possibly several events within the 3D matrix that have the potential to be even more impactful than what we experienced in 2020. Additionally, we have several other significant alignments that just add to the magic of this month. However, before we jump into March, let's do a brief recap of the energetic forecast of February, which started preparing us for these alignments. We began February still integrating all that we experienced in January. If you recall, we started 2023 with some powerful energy. It was as though the minute the calendar turned to 2023, which is year number 7, the spiritual year, the universe clobbered us with our unresolved childhood and ancestral trauma that we needed to understand, process, and fully purge. After the super new moon we experienced at 1 degree of Aquarius toward the end of January, it took us quite a while to fully integrate all that we experienced, which continued into most of February. As we finally got our footing in the latter part of February, we experienced another powerful super new moon at 1 degree of Pisces on February 20th, which I believe served to activate and prepare us for the alignments that we will be experiencing this month. It is important to note that the last two supermoons were at 1 degree of their respective signs, indicating that these are more significant new moons as they signal energetic beginnings to some important paradigm shifts. We are now fully in the Pisces season, which is the last sign of the zodiac, and signifies the completion of the astrological or solar year. We are not only wrapping up all the work we did last year, but entering into a new energetic chapter. As I mentioned in previous podcasts, 2022 was more of an internal year, but I feel as though the energy of 2023 will be very different. Because we haven't yet arrived at the spring equinox, we will not be fully in the energy of 2023 until March 20th. The energies of January through March are overlapping this period as we transition from the internal to the external, which may be why the energy seems very heavy at the moment, and a lot of us are still feeling really tired. Because Pisces rules spirituality, the Pisces new moon in February was a check-in to see if we did our spiritual work last year before moving into this new year, as well as preparing us for when Saturn enters Pisces on the 7th. This new moon and the days leading up to March were influenced by several other important alignments. Saturn was and is in the final degrees of Aquarius, wrapping it up its time since it was there in March of 2020. I do not think I have to remind you of what happened in the 3D matrix when Saturn went into Aquarius in March of 2020. For us lightworkers, I believe that this was a powerful alignment to wake us up to our roles within this 5D ascension process, and the beginning of the deep purification work we still needed to do to get into alignment with the shift. Something to note is that Pisces has traveled throughout many of the outer planets since the early 2000s, which can be seen as a clearing out of the age of Pisces. In April of last year, we had a once-in-a-lifetime conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces, signaling another huge push to close out this age. And now Saturn will be entering Pisces, which is the first anticipated alignment of the month, and occurs right after the full moon, which should be quite interesting. Saturn is the taskmaster, making sure we have been doing our work, especially our karmic work. Coupled with this full moon, it will further assist us in releasing karmic ties if we've been doing our work. Saturn will stay in Pisces for the next 3 years and will be shining its light on whatever Pisces rules. Because Pisces also rules illusions, hopefully this transit will illuminate more of the shadow that was created during the age of Pisces, such as corruption, victimization, greed, and lies, and will assist in further removing the glasses of our collective cognitive dissonance. Saturn unfortunately has had a bad reputation. However, Saturn is not just the reality check, but assists us in manifesting our dreams into reality. Interesting that Saturn will retrograde back to the same point at the end of Aquarius where it found itself on the new moon, on the spring equinox on March 20th, October 3rd, and December 5th, which will likely be check-in points to determine what work still needs to be done in order for us to continue moving forward. I believe the Saturn and Pisces alignment is so significant for us lightworkers. We have been preparing for this shift our whole lives, and this is when we might finally see the fruit of our labor. With all the deep internal work we did last year, we might also finally fully understand our tangible roles within this ascension process. Furthermore, Saturn in Pisces might be the spiritual activation for this new Pluto cycle. However, before discussing Pluto moving into Aquarius, it is important to note that Pluto was at the final degrees of Capricorn during this last new moon and into March, which is also significant. We are still working on releasing the last bits of the Capricorn shadow, such as our fears of authority figures, patterns of workaholism, materialism, and valuing ourselves based on our financial worth. However, before Pluto finally leaves Capricorn on March 23rd into Aquarius, there are a few other important alignments to discuss. Jupiter will conjunct Chiron in Aries at 14 degrees on March 12th. Chiron is a very important placement in our chart, and this alignment will be quite impactful, especially those of us who have Chiron in Aries, which is actually most of us because Chiron spends most of its time in Aries. Chiron is the key to our natal chart because it is how we reconcile our human nature. Chiron is also known as the wounded healer. As humans, we have 2 Chiron wounds that we must rectify: the wound of rejection and the wound of living an unfulfilled life. Chiron is located between the traditional planets, which are the planets up to Saturn, and signify our human nature, and the outer planets, which signify our divine nature. We are all here to fulfill our human potential, which is not necessarily an easy task. This alignment with Jupiter will help us integrate our dual nature as we find our true meaning and purpose. Jupiter will not only illuminate our wounds, but provide us with some healing solutions. Because most of us have our Chiron in Aries, this further supports that us lightworkers will likely really hone into our true purpose as to why we are here on this planet. And for those who are working on inspiring jobs, feeling unfulfilled, and just going through the motions in life, hopefully this alignment will illuminate and remedy this to help shift the matrix. On a personal note, this alignment not only happens to fall on my birthday, but is conjunct my Chiron at 14 degrees of Aries, and I am completing my year of Chiron return. I am super excited. After this alignment, we will be celebrating the new year on the spring equinox on the 20th, where we will be fully stepping into the energy of 2023, year number 7, the spiritual year. The next day, we will have an Aries new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. Again, this degree point is very significant, which I believe is further preparing us for the most anticipated alignment when Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd. Pluto, the planet of transformation, entered Capricorn in 2008. Although the first huge event that started off this transit was the housing crisis. Much more has transpired within this Capricorn transit over the last 16 years. The positive aspects of Capricorn are hard work and responsibility, whereas the shadow side is workaholism, materialism, and obtaining wealth, power, and status at any cost. Although it seems as though the world has become more materialistic, greedy, and corrupt, this transit has also served to expose the shadow with the hopes of transforming the Capricorn archetype as we move into the age of Aquarius. I believe 2020 and the years leading up to now were pivotal in this agenda. During the 16-year Pluto transit, we also experienced the shift out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, which began on the winter solstice of 2012. Since then, we have been operating in a fourth dimensional reality as we began transitioning from 3D to 5D. To give just a brief history, during the age of Pisces, we created hierarchical systems to provide structure and guidance for our lives, which resulted in the creation of most religions, political structures, and the world as we know it. This period was dominated by hierarchy and power because we mistakenly believed that we needed something or someone to believe in. As we shift into the age of Aquarius, we will be focusing on individuality, freedom, personal responsibility, and doing what's best for the collective. As we exit out of this Pluto transit, although we would love to see the end of corrupt politicians, CEOs, etc., which may actually happen, the more important agenda during this transit was for us to embody our own sovereignty and embody the positive aspects of the Capricorn archetype. During this Pluto transit, our personal work was to start taking personal responsibility for the part of our world that we are creating and let go of our victim consciousness. On March 23rd, Pluto will step into Aquarius, but will retrograde back and forth for a while into Capricorn until the end of 2024, where it will stay for the next 20 years. Pluto will be transforming the Aquarian aspects of our lives and structures in hopes of rebuilding a much better world. Keep in mind that Aquarius is all about progress. Something to note is that the last time Pluto went into Aquarius was in 1777, which was truly a revolutionary time, pun intended. In 20 years, our world will likely look radically different than it does now, and we may take a giant leap into the age of Aquarius. Although this transit is quite promising, I feel as though June of this year might be a bit tumultuous, as this is the first retrograde back into Capricorn. Pluto will go back and forth between the two signs until the end of 2024, where it will finally stay in Aquarius for the next 20 years. I think it is so interesting and possibly not a coincidence that this alignment begins in 2023, the spiritual year. For us lightworkers, it is so important for us to keep holding the light and focusing on the world we wish to create. The old system is falling apart, and we will likely be experiencing a lot of turmoil in the 3D matrix. We need to continue to stay grounded and uplifted. Remember, we signed up for this amazing experience, and this is our time to truly shine. I hope you enjoyed my March podcast. In addition to signing up on my YouTube to receive any updates, Please follow me on Facebook, as I will be continually posting information throughout this month. Sending all of you love and light from Mount Shasta. I am so excited to be sharing this amazing month with all of you. Stay tuned for my next podcast in April.